Hello, everyone, and welcome to my discussion regarding automata theory. In this quick discussion, we'll be talking about theory, strings, languages, sigma, and machines. But let's talk about machines first. A machine can be considered as any computational device. Think of a clock. It's a mechanical device. It moves in a very predictable way, transitioning through different states, representing different hours, seconds, or minutes based on certain rules. Each hand flows in a different speed, which can represent different states, and through these different states, we can tell if it's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock. And it solves the problem or the question of what time is it. And it's a very simple automaton that answers uh, a question. A telephone, on the other hand, is a much more complex automaton because there's so many inputs to press, and through different inputs represents a state, and it's a very complex one because pressing one is a one state, but pressing two can be another state, and pressing so many numbers and so on and so forth can represent different states. It's a very more complex device rather than a clock. In modern times, we have much more complicated machines. It can be a phone, a laptop, a digital watch, a monitor, anything or any device that can compute. So, automata theory comes from the Greek word automaton, which means self acting, self willed, self moving. Even if you are not using your cell phone, as long as its power is on, there are computational processes that keeps it idle behind the background, and we cannot see it because it happens on a very deeper level that one we can barely see, or what the naked eye can see. At its most basic form, the automata theory is the study of abstract computational devices, or those things that we cannot see, those computational processes that we cannot see. A conceptual model of a machine that performs a task or computation. Now, through this computation, we need to consider computability versus complexity. Think of computability as if a problem can be solved, how hard is that problem for that computer to solve? So, imagine finding a book in a library. It's very easy if the library is sorted. However, trying to predict the weather is a very different problem, and it might be more harder if the weather is pushed on from a year on. What I'm saying is trying to predict what weather it will be a year from now. Complexity, on the other hand, is how hard it is. Even if a problem can be solved, how much time and effort do we need for that computer to solve it? So let's take this diagram for an example. It has a battery, a line of electricity. It can send signals, and a battery with electricity to power it. Whenever you give an input, it sends signals and creates an internal process and creates an output. This is a physical device that moves on its own and sends signals through a process and creates an output, which is light. But it's not the electricity itself, but the computational processes that happens within that machine, within those lines, and how that electricity transitions from one state to another. So that's what we're trying to solve. The Chomsky hierarchy is a classification of formal grammars named after the linguist and cognitive scientist Noam Chomsky, who introduced it in 1956. The hierarchy categorizes grammars based on their generative power, or in other words, the languages that they can generate. So it starts from real grammar, context free grammar, context sensitive grammar, and unrestricted grammar. So let's talk about regular grammar first. Regular grammars are like having simple rules, a very linear one from which A goes to B. So whenever you see A, you can replace it with B. Context free grammar is a much more flexible one. You can have groups of letters that you can replace with other groups of letters. So if, for example, A goes to BC, it means you can replace A with BC whenever you find it. Context sensitive grammar pays attention to the surrounding context. The rules can change based on what's around them. So, for example, A goes to BC, but if there's a rule that says if A is between X and Y, then it goes to BC. Type 0, unrestricted grammar, have a very few restrictions. That makes it very complex. um, there are complex rules that can change in different ways. So, for example, if you see ABC, replace it with XYZ, but only if it's after PQR. Mm, think of it as like a society where um, uh, there's a society with rules in them, and as rules are diminished or reduced one by one, there can be chaos. So that's why um, we can compare it to a type 0 grammar with very few restrictions. Anything can happen. To understand these grammars, we need to think of a language as a set of rules for creating sentences. Sentences which are formed by words, and words which are formed by alphabets. Alphabets are the building blocks of words, the set of symbols that create words, and words are the building blocks of sentences. By combining these words, we can create a string. But by the use of grammar, rearranging those sentences can create a meaningful sentences. In automata theory, these sentences are strings formed by arranging words. So let's take the um, figure below. So sigma is equals to AB. Sigma, which is representing the alphabet or the set of symbols. Language, or L, is equals to set of all strings of length exactly 2. So think of it as a row. Um, L is equals to AA, AB, BA, BB. So through that language, we we used it to for these A B to form together to create words, and by arranging them, we can create um, um, a answer to a problem, which we will be talking about on the later slides. An alphabet is a finite set of symbols. S1 is equals to A B C epsilon Z. The set of letters in English. S2 is equals to 0129, the set of base 10 digits. And S3 is equals to ABC, and there's supposed to be a number sign right there. And it's the set of letters plus the special symbol. So what we're trying to say is um, an alphabet is a finite set of symbols, but it can be any different symbols because uh, A is a symbol, one is a symbol, period is a symbol, exclamation mark is a symbol, number sign is a symbol, and you can form these together to create a set of symbols. It is not restricted to just the alphabet itself, the numbers itself from 0 to 9. It can be just like S3, wherein it the numerical sign is included. A string over sigma is a finite sequence of symbols in sigma. So think of this as like a chain of symbols. Imagine you have a set of symbols just like S3, which is a sigma 3 is equals to AC and D and the numerical sign. We use this in order to create a string. And imagine these strings are the chains. Now, let's talk about the finite sequence. It means that you can't keep adding those symbols forever. It is limited, it is finite. You can only use a certain number of symbols to create your string, and it's not an endless chain. It just stops for after a while. Now, a language is a set of strings over an alphabet that can be used to describe problems with yes or no answers. Let's go back a bit and we'll see that DBZ is a string over sigma 1 DBZ, 1728 is a string over sigma 2 is equals to 1728, and AC numerical sign DC. Now here we can see that language 1 is the set of all string over S1 that contain the string substring at. So to answer this problem, we can combine CAT, which is cat, BAT, which is bat, but can you combine AT and 1? No. At 1? No. We can't do that because in the set of symbols in the first one, we do not have the numerical sign number 1 in that set of symbols. L2 is equals to the set of all string over S2 that are divisible by 7, 7, 14, 21, 28. We can include this because all these are numerical signs which are included over that set of symbols. And L3 is equals the set of all strings of the form S numerical sign S, where S is any string over A, B, and there's supposed to be a numerical sign over there, and Z. So the language is a tool for describing these problems. By creating those chains, we in this language we can express problems in a way that can be answered by yes or no questions. Putting it together, a language in this context is like a set of coded questions or strings using a specific set of symbols, and these questions are designed to have straightforward answers like yes or no, helping us to describe and understand a problem and an answer. Thanks for listening, everyone.